Hi, the purpose of this video is just a kind of three reasons for making this video. One is just to kind of discuss some nagging concern that I have about people on the internet kind of promoting themselves as having experience in fruitarian type diets. They're really just exploiting a form of vegan diets. They tend to do a lot of fasting and yo-yoing, and some of the signs that one can look for in identifying the kind of profile that these people have, who are not really, they're not going to have, they're not more than likely only going to be on the diet short term. So some of the signs on that. I also wanted to kind of demonstrate, like I've got some papaya that I grew. I'll slice into that fresh papaya and compare it to a store-bought papaya. I've got a couple species here, and see what the difference is between a homegrown papaya, for those who've never had one, and compare it to what you find in the store. And a lot of people never even have the store-bought varieties. And also, I'm going to kind of another little demo with the native, not native, but homegrown strawberry guavas. I've got like 15, 20 of these. That's been my breakfast the last several days. But so I also want to go over a list of fruits that I can grow. So these, the papaya and strawberry guavas, are ripe from what I've grown here just today. Most of my fruit, the birds and the squirrels and raccoons and bugs get to it. But I want to just kind of provide a smattering of the types of the numerous species of fruits that you can grow in my type of climate. So I'm in North Florida, extreme North Florida, Northeast Florida, at just over 30 degrees north latitude, and Zone 9A, borderline Zone 9A, 8B climate zone, just inside the 9A border. And I want to discuss kind of what you can grow just as a sampling. And I'm just going to go through a list of the stuff that I've grown and eaten fruit from in my yard. And there's many more fruits that I've tried at relatives' homes, where and in forests, and I've ordered exotic fruits. So that's what I want to discuss. First, the signs of a yo-yo dieter. Okay, if they do a lot of fasting, they're probably not raw vegan. And if they are, they're not going to last, because you can't do a lot of fasting when you're on a raw fruit-based diet. Because what are you detoxing from, first of all? And why are you trying to lose weight again when it's difficult to even keep weight on with a fruit-based diet? Okay, so that's a big red flag. There's no real urge to do a lot of fasting if you're on it, unless you might have a specific health condition. But even then, you're going to have to eat something dense, to cooked food, maybe to make up for it when you get off your fast. So you're going to end up retoxing after your detox, is what I always say when you see people fasting. The other sign is people who have gaps in their knowledge. If they're not able to discuss some of the things that I've just scratched the surface on here, about like the different varieties of papayas and guavas that are available, and details about some nutritional information. If you've never heard of Google Scholar, and if you've got these gaps in your knowledge, and you're not doing the research with what you're doing, that's probably a sign that you're just kind of, you've got a persona that you're cultivating on the internet, on YouTube, and you're talking a lot about your diet, but there's not really a lot of substance with what you're saying. You're not providing useful information for people. And I've got a long way to go on myself with that. But you might be very charismatic and popular, but that doesn't mean that you're really doing a raw vegan diet. You tend to have all of a sudden, some health conditions that pop up, or you've got health conditions that started before you. If that's what motivated you to get into your diet, you had some health condition, you might be searching for a diet that's helpful, but you might also be exploiting the diet, which is often the case. You're just going through different, and the solution to your health problem may only be partially to do with diet. And when you don't find total success in a particular diet that you might have invested more or less into, then you may get frustrated and then give up. And those are kind of signs to look for people who are really just exploiting the opportunity to benefit from a raw fruit-based diet. Another sign is if you're not growing your own food and you're claiming to have long-term experience as a fruitarian, that's a big red flag. I don't know anybody who's been successful long-term as a fruitarian who, well, there aren't many anyway, but if they're not growing their own, because first of all, you're gonna be interested in it for the variety, because you're cutting yourself off commercially anyway, restricted in terms of the species, but you can compensate for that by seeking out the exotic flavors. And then, like, there's stuff you can order, and I'm just going to go through a smattering to give you an example in a moment. But the other thing is you want to offset the cost, the higher cost, because you're going to have to consume more to make up for the lack of dense, dehydrated food that you've been cooking. Yes, meats and refined grains can be more concentrated, and you can gain weight from them, and you can absorb higher quantities of the nutrients, so you have more bioavailability from most cooked food. I got to be careful how I say that, because there's some nutrients many nutrients you straight off kill, and you are killing a lot of micronutrients and antioxidants. So, but as far as the macronutrients, you'll absorb higher quantities. So the macronutrients specifically are more bioavailable with cooked food and meats, but that doesn't mean they're more biochemically compatible. There's a difference, and people will get those confused. But anyway, another sign that you're not going to do that, you're not going to be successful long term, is if you're not seeking that variety. If you don't have a passion for, if you can't discuss at length some species of different varieties of foods that you've had that are not commercially available, because you're looking for that. You're looking to supplement your diet. You're looking for more variety. You're looking for more flavors, and the flavors are more concentrated. And when you're really compelled to go into the fruit-based diet, you're doing it for intrinsic reasons. Your taste is a lot of it. You're not just sacrificing foods that you've grown accustomed to because you're missing out on those flavors that you had earlier, but you're branching out, literally branching out, and you're trying these new flavors, and you're interested in that. This is a sign that's you're going to kind of last if you're really doing that and you're really serious about it. So I just want to kind of go over the kind of limitations a little bit more, and to look out for as you're considering, is this person yo-yo dieting? Do I have some of these traits that might limit me and how far I go with this? These are some of the concerns. So you're going to want to offset your costs. You're going to want to make up for the variety by kind of growing your own and get some stuff that's interesting that kind of enhances your diet. That you can grow your own, because you can just take the leftovers, the seeds, and toss them out there. If you're looking on YouTube and you see some of these YouTube diet gurus, they're slicing up their fruit, they're claiming to be raw fruitists, and they're taking the seeds and the peels and they're tossing them in a plastic trash can. Okay, so you're probably not looking at a long-term fruitarian if that's the case. Just saying. Maybe, but I doubt it. So a list of fruits. So I'm at just above 30 degrees north latitude here, and kind of near the coast. And have grown some of these. I've gotten fruit from all these different species that I'm going to kind of rattle off here. Jujube. Jujube is referred to as the Chinese date. It's a little bit of a caramel flavor on the outside, a little bit more bland, not as sweet as a date, and a little bit like a green apple on the inside. That's probably the most popular variety of jujube. I like it. It's got a little, crispy shell on the inside, a little bit like dryish, and the inside it's a little bit drier still. It's a little bit of a crisp to it too. It's like a green apple kind of. And so that's unique, but it's got a lot of thorns in it, so I kind of neglected it, and I didn't take care of it like I could have. I took it for granted because of all the thorns, but I did look forward to having the crop when it came around. But when it got shady, I didn't get as much from it, and it would cluster up, and so that was a kind of a hassle. But these are the kind of things you put up with when you're growing your own. And a lot of like I said, the bugs, the birds, the raccoons, they get most of this stuff anyway. Gummy fruit. So I think they named Gummy fruit candy after gummy fruit because it tastes like it, it looks like it, it feels like it, a little bit furry and dry on the outside. You eat it and it's a little astringent. It's like a little bit of a dry after effect it has. It'll leave your mouth puckering. Not sickly sweet like a gummy fruit candy, but you can tell it's similar. That's easy to grow here. Not from seed. I haven't been able to grow. No, I did. I had one come up from seedling once, but I just tossed it down and I got lucky. But I have very little luck growing that from seed. But anyway, it does grow here once you get it growing. It grows well and fruits readily. Star fruit. After 20 years, I had this star fruit tree here put out 2 crops back to back here on the other side of my door here, my window. And that's and again, I'm at the borderline of where you can't grow it, and yet I got 2 crops, and the star fruit tasted better than any that I've gotten in the stores. So even though I'm not in the ideal habitat, it's still better than what I get in the stores. And then underneath that, I've got a Monstera deliciosa growing, which is That's another one. I mean, that's delicious. Tastes like banana creme brulee. You even have that smoky kind of a flavor to it. Anyway, Monstera Deliciosa. Check it out. Also, I've got loquats. I've grown many citrus. Pear. I'm at the borderline where it's a little bit too cold to grow pear, or hot to grow pear rather, and I don't usually see much coming out the trees, but I have eaten some pear in my yard before. Mulberry, a lot of those, they do grow wild around here. Sabal palm berry, edible variety, the tall sabal palm, not the sabal palm minor, but the major. It's kind of like acai. It's not sweet, but again, despite the myths of non-fruitarians, the fruitarians aren't just looking for sweet all the time. They've got plenty of it. The sabal palm berry is not particularly sweet, but you get more complex flavors, maybe some wild flavors, maybe a little bit of slight bitterness to it. They're not like sickly sweet stuff typically. When you grow it your own, or grow the native stuff rather. I've had some heirloom tomatoes that I've grown, figs, black turkey fig that is, black cherry. I've got a wild black cherry, and this is another thing. It makes it so gratifying. I looked up when it was in full bloom once, that black cherry tree, and I saw hundreds of native bees just buzzing, and I could hear them buzzing. And they're just looking straight up, and it was very impressive. But that's just something you get. And when you're growing your own, I don't use bug spray, and I'm against a forest, but I get stuff, and it could be just insects. But they know. They're dialed into what you're doing. There was a couple days ago, a hummingbird was just fluttering around my ginger in full bloom in my front yard, and just he hovered right in front of me and then took off. And I remembered, oh yeah, they go after that every year. But just I've been just back there eating sabal palm berries with like a bird perched on the sabal palm tree. These kind of experiences, they don't leave you really craving to get to a fast food restaurant or any restaurant and to settle for fake processed food. Once you tap into nature and just educate the palate, get yourself accustomed to it, feel good doing it, and look at the research, you really can't go back. Not really. I'm not saying it's practical to do this, but once you really get into it, you don't want to eat fake food after that. So I've been raw fruit, mainly fruit, but raw vegan for the last 3 years, and I was 90% raw vegan. I was completely vegan for 10 years, and then it was 90% raw before that. Also, black cherry, again, it's got thorns on it, but it's crept into my yard. The wild black cherry, again, it tastes way better than the store-bought ones. Just more complex flavors. Different citrus, from kefir lime to I've got now key limes growing, white grapefruit, Myers lemon, Satsuma orange, honey bell tangelos, honey tangerines. I'm probably missing a couple, but citrus, lots of that. 3 species of guavas. I've got this one, the strawberry guava. It tastes like a little bit of a black pepper kind of notes to it too, but mainly just a mix of strawberry and guava is what this tastes like. I've got lemon cherry guava, like a lemon and guava combined, but not citrusy lemon, not acidic. It's just milder than that. And then a pineapple guava. Now that I can eat the flower petals on that, and they taste like cinnamon cotton candy. You stick them on your tongue, they kind of fizzle like Nerds candy. But if you get them like when they're not, if it hasn't rained, it's dry outside, they're pretty like fluffy. They will be kind of like cotton candy, and you can like put them on salads. But it's a flower petal that actually tastes good. But you can eat the petals, leave the fruit on the inside, and that you get a pineapple guava from that, or feijoa. It's known as feijoa. But the pineapple guava tastes like pineapple and guava mixed, but again, not as acidic as guava, of course. And then I've got gruma chama. I haven't gotten any fruit yet. It's an endangered species in Brazil. I've got a few of them, but they're not rare in cultivation. These are from seeds, not from the forest. But you can see why they're endangered, because they don't put out much fruit and they grow very slowly. But mine are doing fine. I'm on my way. I know I'm going to get fruit, and that's going to have a Bing cherry guava combination taste to it. That's a similar a relative to these other types of subspecies of guavas that I've described. Actually, pineapple guava is not in the guava family, but it's kind of closely related. But they all look a little bit the same on the outside. They have these kind of, I forget what you call them. They're not petals, they're sepals, I think you call them. These little things, but that's where the flower used to be at the top there, and they kind of project. But they all have that kind of thing on them. But anyway, 3 passion fruit varieties. One is the native one, Passiflora incarnata, that they make passion fruit tea out of. It's got unique flavors, like a combination of pineapple, kiwi, green apple, banana kind of a flavor, like Jolly Rancher's green candy kind of flavor, but again, not sickly sweet. But each of the colonies, when you find them growing in the wild, so the kind that I've grown here, I took seeds from these wild passion fruit colonies, and I grew them here, and I picked the colony where it had a distinctly delicious flavor to it, and that's what I started growing here. I've got some. I need to grow some more of that again. It got kind of overgrown in some shaded areas. And then another species of pineapple or passion fruit. I think it was a red. It's the red one. I've still got it growing. I crossbred that because it has edible fruit too. And then it had stripes on the fruit, but I hand pollinated that and I crossbred. And then that one had a nectar to it. The red one did. And there's different red ones, so I can't tell you which one. So be careful trying this stuff. The red one, it had a nectar in itself. It tasted nice. The flower did. So you kind of sip on the nectar, and then you can kind of cross-pollinate the inside of it, and the petals, or the stamens and the styles. You take them off and get fruit that way. And then I have the Texas native, I think, what's it called? Passiflora ceruleus, the large one. That's bland, though. That one is. But anyway, papaya. I'm going to cut into this. I'll show it to you. That's what I've got. I grew that from seed. Delicious, no comparison to the store-bought ones. Muscadine grapes, a little bit bitter. The native ones that crept into my yard. Mayhaw. What the heck is Mayhaw? It tasted like papaya, kind of, the one I had, but nobody's talking about it. I know people make jams out of it, but I think when you get it really ripe off the tree, like the one crop I got, it might approach the jam, because I don't know why it wouldn't be popular, but I don't think it would last as far as shelf life on that. So maybe that's why it's not popular. I don't know, but I need to get another one of those trees. Blackberry crept in my yard, way better than store-bought ones. Pomegranate, not a good climate for pomegranate, but I've got a new variety that's supposed to be good for our climate, but it's in too much shade. But again, the birds get to those before I do. But I've had parts with some ripe pomegranate, but nothing like what I've been able to get, like from Mediterranean or California type climates. Yeah, those are the ones that I've collected fruit from. Now I've got a list of stuff that I'm also growing that I will be able to get fruit from, but it's just going to be a matter of time. Like our native blueberry, finally, after 10 years, I transplanted a native blueberry. It's the low-growing shiny blueberry shrub. Absolutely delicious. The blueberry itself, small, seedy, pale, but way better in flavor than the enlarged, darker ones that seem like they're almost seedless in the stores. Because the seeds are so insignificant, but the seedy ones we have growing wild, the seeds themselves are like a piece of sugar that you crunch into. Not that I'm looking for, it's not like a sickly sweet though. The flavor is so concentrated on there, you don't mind the sweetness. In fact, you kind of like it. It all goes together. I can't separate the components of it, and it's just perfect. Why would I want to kind of dissect it and wish for anything else? But the raw, native, uncultivated wild blueberry, just absolutely delicious. And there's related species growing here that I'm still trying to transplant, like sparkleberry, that's in the family, same genus. But yeah, finally I got some new growth after that. I watered it every day for like 6 weeks, except for the days it rained. But yeah, when they transplant, you got to watch out for getting dried out from the transplant shock. So yeah, after 10 years, got one growing. Chickasaw plum, I've got a few of those, but they're in shaded areas. But I'm growing some new ones from seed. That's naturalized to this area, native to Texas, but the birds like it here too. It's not particularly sweet, but complex flavor. Kiwi, it got dried out one year and outcompeted. I need to grow some more of that. I can grow it here. Longan, I've got a tree that's about 8 years, so it's almost ready to flower, but it gets cut back in the wintertime. It gets burned back a little bit. Avocado, I've got some coming. I should already have some. I wish I did. I got to be careful about that and take care of it. Mango, it's on the way. I won't get much of it. but I know a couple people have harvested some at this latitude with a little protection. Pineapple, it's on the way. I've got some that's been growing for a while. It's reaching the sun. Rambutan, yeah, I can grow that too. I've got some seedlings. Monstera deliciosa growing up underneath my kiwi. I don't know if I'll ever get fruit from it, but it's looking nice down there. The pawpaw, that's something I'm on the borderline of growing the pawpaw. And you people in the north, you can be growing this stuff. It's one of the most delicious fruit there is. It's like mango, apple, custard. Yeah, right off the tree. In September, October, it'll be ready. You people above 30 degrees north latitude, you need to be on the papaya, or the pawpaw rather. It's not papaya, it's different. It's native to much of the eastern U.S. on up to New York and into Canada even. You need to be, even if you're just a vegan and you're looking for some good flavors, grow that pawpaw, okay? Anyway, I'm just going to kind of slice in, right? So, here we go. Slicing into my fresh papaya, doing a little comparison here. I can tell just cutting into it. It's just so consistent and creamy just going into it. And look at these things. I mean, so agreeable and so good for digestion. I don't know what's holding people back. Get on it. Get on that fruit. Oh, yes. Wow. This is it. This is what papaya is supposed to look like, okay? I hope you're getting a good shot. I hope I'm getting it. There we go. Look at the color. Look, there's not... Okay, so when you look at the you can look at it and tell. It's so... I mean, it's like glistening. It's like... You're not seeing clumps of it. It's not dried out. It's not like cardboard. Like, okay? I mean, even through the skin, I can smell it. I don't smell anything through the skin on this. This is supposed to be ripe. It's got give to it. This was $4. Okay. Solo papaya. It's a different species. That's Caribbean red. But there's not gonna. This is supposed to be the good tasting one. It's smaller though. All right. Here we go. All right. It's got a little scent to it. It is ripe for what it is, but it's not the same. We have some juiciness going on there. This is relatively consistent. Okay. I think this is not that bad for a star-bought variety. This is not going to compare to the one I've got, but I'm just going to kind of... This is not bad. First of all, it's smaller than what I got, but anyway. Yeah, okay. So the ripe part is nice. Nice. I don't like the texture. It's like kind of gooey and like jello-y. Yeah, because it's a little bit overripe on that side. But this is not bad. Okay, this is actually one of the best store-bought ones I've ever had. But the color, it's not going to be compared to this one. And when I go in and compare it to this, I'm going to plant the seeds from that one too, though. Because it is a different... It's supposed to be good tasting when you get it fresh. And that's not far from it. But I usually don't have that much luck with it. There it is, right there. Yeah, no comparison. Nice, just so good for digestion too. I don't even know if I'm gonna cut into this one because it could use another day or two. I think I made my point. I'm not gonna belabor the point. But yeah, you gotta try this stuff. If you're vegan, you don't have to be raw vegan to appreciate this stuff. So there's stuff out there. Don't be limited. Compensate from the lack of variety you're getting in the grocery stores. Post your comments. Share your thoughts. Share whatever you're growing and your tips, your long-term tips for those raw plant-based dieters, so that they don't leave the impression of the limitations of the diet that they exploited.